Hello, REM. It's 4 in the morning because I couldn't fall asleep tonight. Um, but I've been looking at my phone recently and I've been realizing, like, at the digital well-being settings, my phone sends me a weekly report every week of how much time I spent. And I've been realizing that I've been spending far too much time on my phone. So what I'm going to do is try to, not do that. And by not do that, I mean I'm going to look at how much time I spent on my phone every day last week and try to spend that much time reading. Now, I am kind of playing with this because my phone does tell me my most used apps, and my second most used app after Google Chrome is the Kindle app. So obviously I'm reading on that, so we're going to be ignoring that. So last week I read on my Kindle for 9 hours and 8 minutes total. I know I didn't read on Saturday on my Kindle because it's Shabbos. I don't use my phone. In general, I spent 1 hour and 42 minutes on my phone on Shabbos, which is already more like after Shabbos on Saturday, but after Shabbos ended. But that's already more than I really should be spending at all, Um, when Shabbos ended at 8:02, so I had 4 hours until midnight. I spent nearly half of those hours on my phone and not on my Kindle. Not good. But basically, that means that I read for around an hour and a half every day. It does not tell me every day how much time I spent on my Kindle. So what I'm going to do is kind of minus that out from what I'm actually doing. So on Sunday last week, I spent 5 hours and 40 minutes on my phone. Amazing. Great. So if we say that an hour and a half of that was reading, which we're going to say an hour and a half of that was reading. So that takes us down to 4 hours, 10 minutes, I believe. Yep, 4 hours, actually 91 minutes it comes out, so technically, which is just over an hour and a half, so actually 4 hours and 9 minutes, which means I have to read for 4 hours and 9 minutes a day. Now, I am going to be on a train today, because I'm going to the beach, hopefully, so I'll probably get some reading done both on the train and the beach, but I'm just going to tell you my plan of what I'm going to even read. So I am planning to start a new series with one of my favorite authors who wrote one of my favorite series that doesn't take place in the same world. Now, this author has written a few different series. The series that I love that she wrote is the Septimus Heap series, which I absolutely love that series. I have all the books. I love them so much, including the spin-offs. Then she wrote, as kind of a continuation series to that series, the Todd Hunter series, the Todd Hunter Moon series, which I didn't love. So I don't know how I'm going to feel about this. These are all middle grade series. This is the Twilight Haunting series. The Twilight Hauntings is a book. The series is Enchanter's Child. And this follows Alex, who has a set of enchanted cards. So basically she can use magic with these cards. But she lives in a city where magic is illegal and her foster sister betrays her. So she decides to escape the city. But even outside of the city, stuff is dangerous. I'm basically summarizing the blurb. Outside of the city, there are deadly hauntings that seek out those who practice magic. Alex is haunted by a giant bird of prey, a murderous night wraith called the Great Walker, and the Eerie Djinn. And then it seems that she's also going to try to find out who her biological parents are. And at the same time, try to get rid of the deadly Twilight hauntings forever. So this is actually out of my comfort zone. I don't usually like reading books where oh, magic is illegal, blah, blah, blah. But, you know what? It's by Angie Sage, who I just love Septimus Heap so much. So at the same time that I have high hopes for this, I am also kind of who knows how good it's going to be because of not really liking Todd Hunter Moon and this not being, in general, a concept that really pulls me in. So we'll see. Okay, so it's 12:40 and I'm 56 minutes into this and 105 pages into the book. And it's not exactly a bad thing that I'm only 56 minutes in, because I've been doing stuff. I haven't just been fiddling around on the internet all day. I have probably been on Tumblr more than I should have been, but I have been, like, doing stuff that I've wanted to do. So, and I know I can put off reading till the train, or even until tonight. Which, by the way, this is probably going to be my only update for today, because unless I get some more reading done before I go on the train, because I'm not bringing my computer, and I'll probably be back late at night. I probably won't see you until tomorrow afternoon, actually. I won't have my computer available until, like, tomorrow afternoon. So there is that. But what do I want to say about the book? I am actually really, really enjoying it. One of the things that I find so amazing about middle grade is that it can be so serious. Like, there are a lot of serious things going on here. There are very, very scary things going on here. None of our characters are in a situation which is at all good for them. Like, all of our characters are currently being chased in danger for their lives. But at the same time, it's written in a very, very fun way. And yet that fun way doesn't take away from the tension. You know? Like, I feel like middle grade authors who are very good at middle grade are very good at balancing, we're having fun reading this book, and there is tension, there is danger. And I find that so amazing. Funnily enough, the plot or the circumstances surrounding our main character are similar to the first Septimus Heap book. It's not, there are a lot of the same things as in our character is an orphan. She doesn't know where she comes from. Magic is forbidden. But the exact circumstances are different, partially because our main character has magic and she's doing magic, and partially because of the way things are enforced. In Septimus Heap books, stuff was actually a lot less dangerous for people who were doing magic and their families. So, yeah. And also, it's just written in a very different style. Let's see. Is it shorter? Yeah, it's way shorter. The first Septimus Heap book is over 500 pages long, and I'm usually not a big fan of big books, especially in middle grade, but I love it. This one is around 348 pages, It's 350 pages. So, there's that. So I guess it is written for a slightly younger age, but doesn't feel like as much younger as Todd Hunter Moon did, which was the series I didn't like. I don't know, she has written another series for, like, early readers called Araminta Spooky, so I wonder how I would enjoy that. So this one is a bit darker, I'd say, in the writing style, but actually the events in here are in some ways less dangerous, if not less dark. We are following a lot of characters, and there have been times where I've been feeling like, whoop, 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 like, not in a good way, because we've been flipping between them so fast. Like, it'll be paragraph character number 1, paragraph character number 2, back to character number 1, then back to character number 2. So there have been times where it's been going a bit too fast, but overall, I feel like it's just part of the pacing. There just have been a few times where I felt like it's been going a bit too fast. I also feel like the pacing is overall good. We've been introduced to the characters we've been introduced to all the important characters by now, and we kind of know, like, the important things to know about what part they'll play. This is too high up, isn't it? What part they'll play in the story. And at the same time, we're having this mystery introduced of how things even got to this dreadful point where magic hunters are hunted down. Like, it's kind of been answered, but at the same time, it hasn't been answered. Like, we have a little inkling. So that's our mystery, which is great. And obviously, so I do wonder how she's going to balance that we have that mystery with the danger our two groups of characters are in. Because we have two groups of characters who don't really know of each other's existence, and they're both in danger of their lives. Okay, so it's currently Monday. It's 5:04 on August 17th, and let's talk about how I've been doing. So, not so well, but I'm not mad about it. Some things happened yesterday, and I ended up not really having time to read. And so I ended up at the end of the day at with 2 hours and 37 minutes. And by the end of the day, I mean, like 11:52, I got home at 11:52, and I tried. I was like, I need to read the last 8 minutes. I tried. I was just too exhausted. I ended up lying on my floor until like 1 in the morning, and then finally showering and going to bed. And I was in Discord during that time. As you can imagine, I did not write very coherent stuff. But then today, so I got then to page 302 yesterday of Twilight Hauntings. Then today I have so far read an hour and 48 minutes. I have been very busy today. I expected to be busy today. I didn't expect to be as busy as I am. Some of it has not been being busy, it's just being stressed, and some of it is like I've just been choosing to do other things because I have the time to do stuff, but also some of it has genuinely been like I've been busy. And honestly, I'm fine. Well, I'm not fine with the part where I was stressed. And then when I was stressed, I reached for social media, which is not good. I really need to think about how to not do that, be stressed, and then automatically reach for social media. And it's kind of like putting a picture here, but then I realized if I want to lean, that won't be comfortable. So I guess I should have put a picture here, but I did put this here, which is really nice and cute and fun. So yay. It's based on Edvard Munch's The Sun, which you should definitely look up. It's a very, very nice picture. Anyways, where were we? So, but other than that, like, we'll see how much next week I've been on my phone, though yesterday I was in Google Maps a ton. I've probably rigged up like 3 hours or so in Google Maps, so I'm not sure how that much will be. But anyways, today, well, I was on my phone. Apparently last week on Monday, I was on my phone for 7 hours and 5 minutes. So, minusing the 1 hour 31 minutes that we're supposed to minus for that I probably was reading anyways, that still leads us to like 5 hours 39 minutes. And I kind of realized that I'm probably not going to complete the reading during this week at all. Maybe tomorrow when I don't have anything, but like, and it doesn't really matter. I am still like tracking this, but this is more of, I guess, weekly reading vlog rather than really, really trying to get like those 5 hours. And I probably could. I could download an audiobook. Like I've been cooking right now. I could download an audiobook, and I've seen people do that. But the point isn't for me to be reading so much as to not be being on social media. So if I'm cooking and I'm enjoying listening to music while I'm cooking, or if I am doing something else, even if I'm just like enjoying looking out the window at what's going on outside, that's not a bad thing. It doesn't have to be constantly reading. Okay, so I stirred my sauce a little, so let's get back and talk about what I read actually. So obviously this morning I had like 48 pages left in Twilight Hauntings, and I read them, and listen, I really, really enjoyed this book. It's not Septimus Heap level. I didn't connect to the characters as much as I connected to them in Septimus Heap. I don't think they were as well sketched as she sketched the characters in Septimus Heap. And I did find some of her characters' actions, mainly our main character, Alex. I did find some of her actions to kind of be like random, and you're doing that to further the plot. At the same time, I can understand where she's coming from. Like, it did explain where she's coming from. So I was like, oh, this is kind of to further the plot, but like, there is character work here as well. So it wasn't my favorite, that character work, but like, it wasn't terrible. I really enjoyed the writing style, as I mentioned before. I talked about that in the last clip, I believe, so I'm not really going to go into it. But I did really enjoy the writing style. And the plot, I can see why people wouldn't like the plot. It was all over the place. And by all over the place, not in a bad way. I mean, we were jumping all over the place from one thing to another. Mistakes kept on being made, but it was fun. I was having a fun time reading this. And so, yeah. I had a lot of fun. And what else did I want to say? Yeah, this is definitely younger than Septimus Heap. It's less dark, like I said. So I feel like you do need to be ready for this to be less dark, to be a little more childish, but I really did like it, and I am really curious to see more of the magic in this world once we get to the point where people are able to use it safely again. Okay, then that's why I brought my phone here. I wanted to tell you about the book I started. So, serendipitously, a book just came in from my library hole, so I knew exactly what I was going to read, and that is A Most Remarkable Creature, The Hidden Life of the World's Smartest Birds of Prey by Jonathan Mayberg. So I didn't really know what bird this was going to be about. I didn't recognize the bird on the cover. I wasn't even sure if it was going to be one bird or just going to talk about multiple types of birds of prey that are smart, because, birds of prey are pretty smart, or at least a lot of them. But it's actually talking about one bird, or one species, called the caracara. So this bird lives in South America, all the way up from Mexico and down to what are they called? The Falkland Islands, which are like basically in Antarctica. But he specifically is on the Falkland Islands, so he specifically went to the Falkland Islands, and he's talking mainly about the type of caracara that exists there, so he is mentioning some others that live nearby. And I am really enjoying this. This book, the way it's written, it's definitely nonfiction in that we're having all these quotes from different people, and he's talking and he's telling us like all this information he's gathered. It is that kind of nonfiction. At the same time, it reminds me of Gerald Durrell's writing in that it's just describing nature so well. And part of that is he's quoting a lot by this guy named William Henry Harold, I think, who did write kind of Gerald Durrell style books and actually grew up in Argentina around these birds. He also is quoting Darwin. Those are two main people that he's quoting, because this bird actually has not been studied a lot. So I am finding it very interesting. Now that I've been reading a few nonfiction books, I would say that it's kind of basic writing of nonfiction, but like the basic good writing. Like there's nothing I'm like, wow, this is amazing, but it's good writing. This is a way that I want my nonfiction to be written, that I can get all the information in a way that is easy for me to understand, but doesn't feel like someone's telling me a story. And actually, I was realizing while reading this that probably the reason I like this type of nonfiction so much is that it's basically this type of nonfiction that was written in Highlights magazines, which I got when I was really little, and then the Smithsonian magazines that my parents got me when I was a little older, but still as a kid. This is the way that the nonfiction was written in those books. I feel like I do enjoy nonfiction magazines as an adult, especially Schoola. I'm talking about nonfiction magazines for adults, but they do actually typically have you use a larger amount of brain power than these. They still need to use brain power. I was at some point so tired today that while I was able to read the other book, I wasn't able to read this one, and I would have been able to read this like as a kid as easily, but I feel like it's at a level that for most adults, it's pretty easy to read. Whereas nonfiction magazines, I'm not talking about journals or anything, but they are still at a slightly higher level. You do have to put in more brain power. Anyways, I'm finding this book very interesting. It is a bit slower going, as nonfiction tends to be. And by slower going, I just mean for me to read. I do read nonfiction slower than I read fiction. So I don't know when I'm going to update you next, because there's no point updating you in the middle of this book. Like, nonfiction doesn't really have like, oh, well, I'm interested in where the plot is going, etc., etc. Especially this kind of nonfiction, which isn't history. History can have that sometimes. This is just natural history. So I'll just, like, I'm planning to update you when I finish this book, but like, I might update you tomorrow just to tell you how many hours I ended up reading today and tomorrow. It is around 6:30 on Wednesday evening, and I don't really have that much to update you on. I've totally abandoned any pretense of what we started with. This is just a weekly reading vlog now, which is still nice, but it's kind of weird that I'm reading a nonfiction book because I don't have that much to update you on. On Monday, I got to like page 65. Then yesterday, Tuesday, I got to page 141, and now I'm currently on page 230. And like I said, I'm still really enjoying it, but there isn't much to say. I really, like I believe I said that I really enjoy how he adds in these quotes from all these people. I really appreciate his passion for the subject. Honestly, I feel like I don't really care about the subject, but he obviously does. And when you're reading like from someone who obviously cares about the subject so much, that's what pulls you in. That's what draws you in. And the only flaw I would say is that I feel like he'll like suddenly jump from one thing to another, and I'll be like, wait, what's the connection? But again, it's nonfiction, and so it's like, it isn't like a fiction book where it's like, wait, we stopped in one chapter was here, now we're going to a chapter about a totally different place, about a totally different bird. Well, not a totally different bird, but not the same exact species. In the same family, but not the same exact species. But it's a nonfiction book, so, it's not a big deal. So, yeah, I'm really liking it. I just don't have anything to update, really. Okay, so it's Friday, so I'm here to finish the vlog because Friday is the weekend, and this was a weekly vlog, not including the weekend. So yesterday, 2 days ago, day before yesterday, Wednesday, I ended up getting to like page 230 of this book, and then, or maybe it was 233, yeah, I got to page 233 of this book, and then I finished it yesterday. I honestly didn't read most of the morning, and then I went to the park and read, and I managed to finish it just before like I had to get to this bus. So that was perfect timing. And like I said, I really enjoyed it. Not my favorite nonfiction book ever, but definitely like 4.5 stars. And I really, really liked the way that he described nature, both the wildlife and the landscapes. I just absolutely love that. And you could really, like I said, I really liked his enthusiasm. Then, while I was on the bus, actually, I had some time to read a Katie Kazoo book. Now, these are really short books, and they're, like, for people who are just learning to read. So, this one was, like, 79 pages. I'm not going to really talk about it because it's very short, and it's actually really for a different blog, so I'll mention it more there. But overall, this week, I read 600 and something pages. I just calculated it, and then I forgot. But I read, like, 140 pages a day. It came out to nearly 140 pages a day, like 139.8 pages a day, and that was 699 pages in total, which is kind of crazy to be honest. Yes, a lot of that was the Andrew Sage book, which was quite easy to read. But overall, I think the best thing about this week was that I enjoyed my books. I really enjoyed my books, and I think that in the end, like, I made the right choice in that I wasn't forcing myself to read it, and there are times where it would have been the right choice to force myself to read it. Not this week. This week I really needed not to do that. So thank you for watching.